We get into these habits every holiday season thinking that we have to have mashed potatoes or just roasted potatoes. And it can be so dull. Also time consuming because you got to peel the potatoes, mash them, heat up some milk, this, that, and the other thing. I'm going to show you today two very simple potato recipes that only involves slicing the potatoes. You can do that in a mandolin or with a food processor, and then just baking them, either with a very easy cashew bechamel or butter and oil. Today I'm making a classic potatoes Anna, which is a cake of potatoes that are basically, it's just crispy potatoes with lots of butter and oil. I added some garlic, a little bit of thyme to it, and a potatoes galette, which is one of my all-time favorites. Today I flavored it with a little bit of truffle oil, but you can flavor it any way you like. The classic form is with a little bit of nutmeg. I've got some thyme in here, garlic. You can go as crazy or keep it as simple as you like. This is the perfect accompaniment to anything you might want to serve on your holiday. All right, we are going to start out with the potatoes gratin, and to do so, we're going to start by slicing them as thinly as, oh, wait a minute, there's a cat that wants to come in. Hi, Leia, Bea, Shmea, come on in, it's okay. It's okay, Leia. Now that the cat is in, we're going to start out with the potatoes gratin, and we're going to start by slicing the potatoes. Now, I like to use a food processor, but you can use a mandolin, or if you have good knife skills, you can slice them with a knife too. And you want them to be thin, but not paper thin, not quite a 1/4 inch, probably like 1/8 of an inch or so. So I think I have this on the right setting because we made enough potatoes gratin for 150 people just a couple of weeks ago for the Rancho Compasión hoedown. So I think we're good. All right, so I'm going to turn this on. And that is done. While we're at this station, we're now going to make the bechamel sauce that's made out of cashews. It's going to be flavored with garlic, a little bit of white wine, and I'm going to start out with a cup of cashews. I go into my blender, and I'm going to add about 2½ cups of water. Okay, so I think I have about 2½ cups of water. I'm going to add a little bit of white wine to that. I have all this garlic left over from the hoedown, so I'm going to add, oh gosh, how many is that? This is going to be a garlicky, super delicious and umami-full potatoes gratin. And then some salt. Now you can flavor this various ways. Traditionally, you might put a grating of nutmeg on it, which we might do. Drizzle some truffle oil. That's also possible. We might just do that. All right, let's turn this on. Alrighty, now I have my cashew milk. So as you can see, it's pretty thin. It's just like cashew milk, but it is going to thicken up into a lovely, thick bechamel sauce as it cooks with the potatoes. Now we're ready to start with the potatoes, layering them. I'm going to put some olive oil here in the bottom of my baking dish. You can use any baking dish you like. Cast iron looks lovely as well. And now we're going to start layering these potatoes. If you want to slice the potatoes a day before, just make sure they're submersed in water, or even if it's going to be a few hours before you do this, between the slicing and the actual baking, be sure to cover your potatoes in water to prevent them from oxidizing and changing color. So you're just going to layer them like this. Now don't worry if it's not perfect. It's all going to look lovely in the end. Be beautifully browned and covered in this lovely white sauce. I got my first layer down. I'm just going to salt the potatoes slightly. All right, and now another layer. Now you can change up the flavors as you see fit. You can add fresh thyme to this. In fact, we might do that. We might sprinkle some thyme on the top. You could do rosemary. As I mentioned before, truffle salt and truffle oil, which we might still do. I think it'll all go. You can take out the garlic and leave it really simple and just add some nutmeg to it. So there are so many variations on how you can change the flavors for this dish while making it delicious every single time. You can also pour some cheese on top, some vegan cheese, and make it cheesy potatoes gratin. It is such a simple dish. The trick really is to expedite it, use a food processor, and then make your sauce out of cashews. And then you don't have to make a separate bechamel sauce with, a roux and all of that stuff. Okay, so now I'm going to pour this sauce on top. And you want to make sure it completely covers it. Now, a lot of that's going to be absorbed by the potatoes, softening them up and adding flavor. Okay, and since I happen to have a lot of thyme left over, I am going to sprinkle the fresh thyme on top. Okay, let's get this in the oven. I have the oven set to 400, and we want to cook this until it's fork tender, probably about 30-40 minutes. These are coming along beautifully. I have decided to add a little bit of truffle oil on top. Okay, I'm going to put it back in the oven now. Oh my God. How does that look? I'm going to give it 5 more minutes to get a little browner. Oh, my potatoes gratin is ready. Oh, doesn't that look delectable? Look at that. Perfectly fork tender. You can drizzle some more truffle oil on top, a little bit of truffle salt, whatever you like. Remember, you can make this with any kind of herbs you like. Thyme and rosemary, I highly recommend. But just go for it, changing up the flavors. The trick is just having that wonderful cashew bechamel sauce. It all cooks at one time. It's a hands-free solution to your holiday meal. Okay, same concept. This time we're going to make potatoes Anna, which is this traditional French dish that is basically potatoes with a lot of butter and oil and cooked until it's really crispy. It's a potato cake that's sliced just like this, layered like that. But instead of the bechamel sauce from the cashews, we're going to pour a mixture of butter and oil on top of it. You can add garlic if you like. You can leave it plain and simple, which is a traditional way, or you can do garlic. We can make it garlicky. I like garlic. First, we got to make our butter and oil mixture. So I've got some vegan butter here that I made, and I am really proud because this is a local olive oil from down the street. Just this past Saturday, I helped pick the olives for this year's batch. And we have some olive trees too, but they're not doing so well. I think I need to get an arborist to figure out why our olive trees aren't really producing. There, okay. So I'm gonna combine the two. You can just do oil if you like. You can do butter and oil. You can leave it plain just like this. You can add garlic. I have so much garlic left over from the fundraiser that I'm gonna add some garlic as well. So let me go get a garlic press and we'll put some in there. For about a pound of potatoes, I'm going to wager you need about a half a cup of a combination of butter and oil. So it's not traditional to add garlic, but hey, it's good. Cute little Japanese spoon. We're going to melt the butter, and then we'll be ready to start with the potatoes. Now, it is traditional just to use butter, but I prefer the combination, partly because I just love the flavor of extra virgin olive oil. Okay, now we're going to turn it off. I've got fingerling potatoes, not because I chose them for this dish, but because I am still using up Thanksgiving leftovers, all the ingredients I had for our big feast. And so this is what I happen to have, and we're going to use it. With these potatoes, you actually do want to cover them in water because that releases some of the starch and it will change the texture. And then we're going to dry these very, very well. So we're going to leave them in the water for about 10 minutes. Okay, the potatoes have been sitting in water for about 10 minutes. Now you can do this a day before, leave it in there for half an hour. It's to remove a little bit of the starch and, little spill action. All right, so we're gonna pour that in there, and we wanna make sure that the potato slices are absolutely dry before we bake them. So we are going to dry them off before we start to layer them. I had Serafina do this for a Thanksgiving dinner, and she learned how to make potatoes Anna. All right, we'll start to layer these now. Season them with a little bit of salt. We're gonna put some butter on top. Butter and garlic, that is. And then another layer of potatoes. Now, when you're layering the potatoes in here, it may seem like the cake is really, really high, but it's gonna shrink down. And I found that you need about 3 layers of potatoes to get this to work, but I don't know if I can do it in this pan because it's so small. Now, these are gonna bake, and they're gonna turn brown on top, but they're gonna be really brown on the bottom, and you're gonna be flipping it out of the pan onto a plate, and you're gonna have this beautiful brown potato cake. So let me see if I can get a few more potatoes on there. And this, you know, because we are going to be flipping it upside down and you're just going to see the potatoes, it is best not to use these funny little scraps. And this is going to be on the bottom, so it doesn't matter as much. What you really want are nice, beautiful potato layers on the bottom of this pan, which will be the top of the cake. Ideally, you would not be using these elongated ones. Well, with the elongated ones, I guess I should have done it slightly differently. I could do that. That will probably be prettier rather than concentric. Let's try that and see how that works. All right, I'm gonna finish putting that on there. And then you want to kind of press it down with something that's heavy, like that, okay? We'll just throw these in here like that. These won't be so pretty, but you know what? Crispy potatoes cooked in oil and butter. You can't go wrong with them. Doesn't matter how ugly they look, right? So we'll use the bits and scraps to make an ugly potatoes Anna. Her ugly sister. Oh, I'm out of butter and oil. All right, so we're gonna cheat. You know how I am with cheating. All right, so we'll just do olive oil on this one. So you can add thyme if you want, you can add rosemary if you want, you can leave it simple like this, and now we're just gonna stick these in the oven. All right, I have them on the bottom because I want the bottom to get super crispy. And you want to have them in there around 425 degrees. Okay, you'll know they're ready when everything is fork tender and the potatoes are completely brown. So I've got all this garlic left over, so I'm going to be making some roasted garlic puree. I've got a bunch of garlic in this cast iron pan. I'm pouring some olive oil on it and a couple of sprigs of fresh thyme. Some salt. Cover it with some aluminum foil, and I'm gonna stick it in the oven. Okay, here is the moment of truth when we're going to flip this out of the pan and see whether or not I have a beautiful potato cake. Oh, and this one's made out of the scraps, but it's still pretty. Okay, first let's try the potatoes gratin. As you can see, the bechamel turned into this lovely custard that was absorbed by the potatoes, as well as surround them with this lovely mixture. That is so good. Sometimes when I want a complete meal, I'll put some sort of lentils or beans underneath it, and then I'll layer the potatoes on it. Maybe some lentils and vegetables. And then I've got beans and potatoes, and then I just need a salad, and it's wonderful. But you see, the bechamel turned into this lovely custard. Just wonderful. See if I can cut this. Probably there. If it were bigger, I'd cut it into wedges, but it's a little small. All right. Crispy, buttery, perfect. During the holidays when we're gathering, going to parties, this dish in particular makes a perfect potluck that you can take anywhere, and you can just reheat it in the oven. Something like this just invites people to sit down and just dig in. These are just perfect dishes for any holiday gathering. Enjoy, and see you next time on the Vegan Good. Oh, you know what? I can't end it yet because I forgot that I had a bonus dish in the oven, and that is the garlic puree. So let me get them out of the oven, puree them, and you know what? We could even top these with the pureed garlic. The garlic has been cooking in olive oil, and I just want to make sure they're absolutely tender. A little color is not only okay, but welcomed. You want it to be tender enough that you can mash it. So this is really a confit of garlic, and now we're going to puree it into a lovely sauce. So I'm going to put it in my blender and give it a go. So good. All right, let's try it on top of these potatoes. Oh my God. My God, Tammy, come here. Puree of confit.
Puree of confit.
Puree of confit garlic.
It's rich.
It's garlicky, but it's not
garlicky.
overwhelming. I mean, when you roast it like this,
She thick.
yum.
Oily. Fatty. Hearty. Warming.
Yes, everything you want for the holidays. Probably not every day of the week.
Yep,
Hey, I had rice and
ASMR.
veggies for breakfast, so that's what I tend to eat. But once in a while, when you want that special meal,
Potato and garlic ASMR.
when you want that special meal, go for it, right? Is that good? What are you scraping for? Ooh. All right, well, we're going to chow down. So I want to wish everyone a happy holiday, and thank you for watching The Vegan Good Life with Miyoko. We'll see you again soon.